Our next speaker is Dr. Parag Biniwale, the evergreen gynecologist from Pune, and he doesn't require any introduction. His topic is surgery moms and surgery babies. Dr. Parag, please.
Thank you. At the outset, I would like to thank the Amravati OBGY Society. It's always a pleasure to be here in Amravati, and I still can't forget the last visit in Amravati. Suyoga was the secretary, and the pampering I received from members of Amravati Society. It's really heartwarming. I bring greetings from ICOG, the Indian College of OBGYN, and in the next 12 minutes, I'm going to talk about a challenging problem, sugary moms and sugary babies. And I'm happy in particular that my dear friend, Professor Girija Wagh is here. She has done a lot of work, and I would say she's one of the authorities in this subject, Girija. So correct me if I go wrong. The hyperglycemia in pregnancy is a big challenge, and it is one of the most common medical conditions women encounter during pregnancies. And 1 in 6 live births occur to a woman who has this problem. And we all know that there are a lot of issues associated with it. There's increased risk of maternal morbidity, mortality, and perinatal morbidity and mortality. So how exactly is the challenge of hyperglycemia? In the world, 127 million live births take place, out of which 21 million per year are complicated because of hyperglycemia, but only 3 to 4 million out of them receive treatment. It means that a lot of them do not receive any treatment. And of course, the further continuation of treatment in the postpartum phase is also missed out. So hyperglycemia in pregnancy, when we talk about it, these sugary moms can be sugary before they become pregnant, or they can turn sugary once they become pregnant. How common is it? Foxy and Dipsy have postulated that 1/3 of pregnant women in our country suffer from hyperglycemia in pregnancy, and not only the first or second trimester, because that is where we focus, but there are 28% women who are diagnosed to have hyperglycemia in the 3rd trimester of pregnancy. And why are we worried about these issues of sugary moms? Because there are a lot of challenges that these women face. There can be early spontaneous miscarriages. Pregnancies can be complicated by preeclampsia, gestational hypertension, urinary tract infections, hydramnios. Delivery is a big challenge, and difficult delivery is a known thing in women who have diabetes, and there is a high risk of preterm birth, instrumental delivery, and traumatic vaginal delivery. Of course, we must not forget PPH and infection in the postpartum phase. The puerperium continues to be a troublesome issue where women face lactation failure and infections. And let's not forget the long-term problems which are beyond postpartum phase, that is weight retention, gestational diabetes in next pregnancies, diabetes mellitus, and coronary heart disease. And the sugary babies are also in trouble. So unless we take care of the mother, unless we control her sugars, babies are going to face a lot of challenges. Stillbirths are very known in women who have high sugars, and it is a devastating experience when a full-term pregnancy lands up in a stillbirth. Neonatal deaths, other complications like congenital anomalies, shoulder dystocia, hyperbilirubinemia, hypoglycemia, and there are so many problems which crop up during the postpartum period. And of course, these are the sugary babies who end up into adult diseases of obesity and hyperglycememia. How do we screen these women? And this is a universal screening recommended for our population. Please note, Indian population is the one which is high risk for development of gestational diabetes mellitus. So each and every pregnant woman must be subjected to screening. The first screening should be at the booking visit as per Foxy, Dipsy, and GOI. If not, the second screening, which is an absolute must between 24 to 28 weeks, and Dipsy also recommends a third screening between 32 to 34 weeks. How do we do it? It's very simple. All you can do is to give us a packet of 75 grams of glucose in 300 ml of water, mix it well, give it to the woman, ask her to rest for next 2 hours, and a single sugar test is done. If she has vomiting in first half an hour, of course, we need to repeat the test at a later date. And how do we interpret it? we expect that the sugar levels should be less than 120. The post-glucose of 120 is normal. If it is between 120 and 139, we call it gestational glucose intolerance, and these are the women who are likely to develop gestational diabetes at a later date. If the sugar levels are more than 140 but less than 199, we say that this is a woman who has gestational diabetes and has to be monitored very, very closely. And if the post-glucose level is more than 200, we are dealing with a woman who has diabetes, over diabetes mellitus, and these are the women where we have to be very particular in monitoring about hypertension. If we are suspecting retinopathy, fundus examination is a must, and we must also be vigilant about nephropathy. WHO has its own way of recommending screening of sugar in pregnancy, but I personally feel that since the DIPSI test is studied in our own population, for us Indians, it makes sense to follow the DIPSI recommendations. How do we take care of these sugary moms? And the care should begin before she becomes pregnant. So preconceptional care is very, very important, and it is important to counsel the woman and screen her for other comorbidities, which would be obesity, hypertension, diabetes, thyroid dysfunction, and anemia. So supplementation of folic acid and B12 is very, very important. If she's overweight or obese, it is prudent that she loses a good amount of weight, at least 10% of it, before she thinks of becoming pregnant. The management is in accordance with the available nutritional resources and infrastructure. So these women require frequent follow-up, they require good antenatal care, and most importantly, self-monitoring of blood glucose. Now, once we've diagnosed that a woman has gestational diabetes, what is next? The most important thing is she has to be offered medical nutrition therapy with the help of a dietitian who charts out a diet plan as per the need of the pregnant woman. And then she has to undergo exercise for at least for 30 minutes a day. And she's called for a follow-up after 2 weeks, and where we do a postprandial blood sugar level. The government of India recommends that if the postprandial level after 2 weeks is more than 120, this is a woman who does require medical therapy. And what is medical therapy? We can offer her either insulin, or there is abundant evidence now that the oral hypoglycemic agents are equally effective and safe during the course of pregnancy. Coming to the oral hypoglycemic agent, metformin is the one which is most commonly used, and it controls sugar well. The possibility of hypoglycemia is less, and of course it is not supposed to cause any congenital anomalies in women. Of course, I personally do not have any experience with acarbose or glyburide. We usually prefer to use metformin as the first line of therapy. So do we take it as metformin is the wonder drug, but we have to take it with a pinch of salt, because metformin can have, it poses the children to be obese in the later stage. So we have to be very, very particular in monitoring the children at a later date also. This is a very, very busy slide. I've copied it from the Government of India manual, and it tells us, of course it is available on the net, it tells us about the insulin administration and monitoring, but it is important that we keep the sugars of the mother very well. Monitoring during pregnancy is very important. Of course, apart from a routine clinical examination, these women should be offered in the first trimester a nuchal translucency scan plus biomarker biochemical screening. The second trimester, we should continue good vigilance about the sugar, the clinical examination, and anomaly scan at 19 weeks should be done, because here we should be looking at congenital anomalies. We have to keep a watch on the amniotic fluid levels also, and fetal echo at around 22 weeks is a must. Clinical examination continues even in the third trimester, where after about 32 weeks, one can ask the woman to report to you every week, where you monitor her sugars, and of course fetal surveillance is to be done. And we can judiciously use color Doppler non-stress test 32 weeks onward, especially so if the woman is taking insulin. What is the role of steroids? Steroids are to be offered only to women where we are contemplating a possible preterm labor, but close maternal glycemic control is very, very important, and betamethasone or dexamethasone should be administered where you are contemplating a preterm delivery. Care in labor and delivery is very, very important, and the main question that comes is when to deliver, which is one of the most controversial areas. The RCOG recommends that pregnant women with type 2 diabetes mellitus, induction of labor or cesarean section should be offered between 37 plus 0 to 38 plus 6 weeks. If there are metabolic or other maternal or fetal complication, elective birth before 37 weeks is recommended. And C-section should not be just an indication for cesarean section. The SOGC, the Canadian Society, says that pregnant women with GDM should be offered induction between 38 to 40 weeks, depending on their glycemic control and other comorbidities. WHO has its own way of saying, WHO says that GDM, if it is the only risk factor, induction of labor before 41 weeks is not recommended, and induction of labor is not recommended for fetal macrosomia. So, lot of confusion. So the only solution for us is to individualize patient, look at your resources, look at the patient, how compliant she is, and take a call in the interest of the patient as well as in the interest of the baby. The labor has to be monitored very closely. Sugar monitoring is very, very important, and we must insist for an institutional delivery and presence of expert obstetrician. Close fetal monitoring is extremely important. If you are able to offer electronic monitoring, that probably is the best, and it should be taken as standard of care for women with diabetes. The second stage is extremely important because this is the stage where stillbirths are known. So we have to rupture the membranes in a controlled fashion. We must anticipate shoulder dystocia. If required, we can offer good analgesia for these women. Assisted vaginal delivery is very, very common in these women. And the third stage also has to be managed actively because these are the women who are more likely to have traumatic vaginal births or atonic postpartum hemorrhage. So close monitoring in the second stage is a must. We must watch for fetal distress, and vaginal delivery should be preferred and LSCS to be done for obstetric indications only. Our role doesn't stop here. The postpartum care is equally important. Early detection of infections is something which we have to be vigilant about. Support for breastfeeding is extremely important because women with gestational diabetes are likely to face challenges of lactation failure. We must give a good advice about pregnancy spacing. And of course, future blood glucose monitoring is a must. So when do we call the woman for a follow-up? So the ideal follow-up would be after about 6 weeks, where we do a DIPSI test again to find out the sugar status, and then the patient should be referred to a physician if required. The contraceptive choices, again, are very, very important in these women. We can offer them any contraceptives as per their choice, but COCs, implants, and rings are contraindicated where the woman also has macrovascular diseases. So to conclude, universal testing of all pregnant women for GDM is a must. The DIPSI test with 75 grams of glucose, which is a single-step OGT, has to be performed during 2 or 3 times in pregnancy. If 2-hour postprandial blood sugar is more than 120 after MNT and physical exercise, she must be offered medical treatment, that is oral hypoglycemics or insulin. Vaginal delivery is preferred, C-section only for obstetric indications. Neonatal monitoring for hypoglycemia and other complications is extremely important, and we must continue our vigilance, postpartum evaluation and glycemic control by 6 weeks of delivery. Thank you.